to both of you guys about something that I use in the Acumatica system a lot, side panels.
Okay.
I know it's probably used a lot more past CRM,
Sure.
but in my day-to-day, I use the Acumatica side panels pretty frequently. But could you describe to everybody like what a side panel is in Acumatica? One of you.
Yeah, so a side panel,
expert, yeah.
a side panel can be located in a couple different spots. The one that we see the most is a side panel on generic inquiry. So you've got your list of results and records, and then additional information depending on what you want to see in the side panel. So you can see all of the main information from the GI, and then it expands and shows you whatever information you have in your side panel. And then you can also have a side panel on a form. So for example, on the appointment screen, the actual form itself of an appointment, you can have a side panel that will show you GIs or whatever information you want to put in that side panel.
Yeah.
So, just to put this in layman's terms, so if I'm a project manager and I have a list of my projects on the screen, I can just pull up, like I can just highlight the project and then have it come up on the side so I don't have to leave that screen.
Correct.
Is that what we're talking about here? Okay.
It goes even further. Their side panels are near and dear to my heart.
I know.
I know, yeah, people make fun of me, but that's okay. I think they're really cool. You can even, because what you're doing is you're passing parameters, I guess, into whatever's in that side, right? So you can make a generic inquiry, you can make a data entry screen, or you can make a dashboard, which I think is the coolest one. So you make a dashboard on a project screen, let's say, of cost by, crew or by task or by cost code, whatever you want, and you can show it visualized over time. And you can have that on a side panel of your project's GI.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which is super legit because you could basically look into the data. You can even drill in the side panel, which is a whole kind of, frame in a frame kind of scenario. But we keep talking about side panels. They're essentially just two screens on one screen. If that makes sense, all related, and you can pass data back and through. What's the coolest one you've ever seen done?
That's a tough question over the last 4 years, but one that I did recently that I thought was pretty useful is on a project manager level. So a lot of people want to report on project managers, give the project managers the ability to see kind of how their performance has been across projects.
Sure.
So we created a GI that showed grouped by project manager, so a record for each project manager.
Okay.
Basically the revenue, the profit margin percentage, and then in the side panel, so you're clicked on, let's say Bob, you're seeing Bob's records and his total amount. Once you click on Bob, it's then going to have in the side panel every project with a breakdown all the way down the list. So you can see Bob's total performance at the top, and then a breakdown of each project in the side panel.
Gotcha.
Awesome, yeah.
We have one, even because we use Acumatica, right? So I know you mentioned it's in the CRM space. Even our accounting team, they have a 30, 60, 90 aging report for AR. And when you're highlighting a customer, because it's by customer in this circumstance, the side has all the invoices that make up that total. And so you can see the details rather than being like, okay, I know we have 6,000 sitting here in this 30-day. What is that related to? You got to go dig through your other reports. It's just right there.
That's awesome.
And it can save tons of time.
And then you don't have to hit back. Like if you're clicking into multiple customers, you're not like clicking into it, then have to go back to that screen, lost track of where you were. Like this just streamlines all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Between the GI, being able to do this on a generic inquiry, which is like a list, and on you mentioned the transaction screen, right? If you're on a project, you can still have side panels. It's a little bit more complex. Not for a consultant necessarily, but I would say we have some customers that can do side panels on GIs really well.
Yeah.
Those are really easy to approach, and you don't need to know much about customizations. But
just mainly knowing how to pass the parameters through and where to put it on the GI.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Then it's really cool stuff. I could talk about it for a while, but you told me less than 7 minutes.
Side panels are what wakes us up in the morning.
And I would say I would say so. I would agree. Yeah.
So today we're going to take a look at side panels, which can be used on either a generic inquiry screen on the results grid. So you can kind of show the side panel of what's highlighted, which is probably the simpler application. Or you can actually put a side panel on the transaction screen and pass data from your summary record into the side panel. And a lot of times that's through a generic inquiry. So right now we're looking at the project screen. And over here, I've got my side panel of all related information. So if I wanted to, I can actually open up purchase orders or project sales orders or any open invoices in this side panel. So as we wait for that to load, it's effectively passing through this project ID over here. And you can see every line on purchase order and all the items applicable and whether they've been received or not. We've even added some color coding here to say these have not been received and they're past due. And that's because we have a lot of demo data here, right? So if this was a real site, someone needs to really get on this. And so you can click through, you can even put all the AP details, which is usually a lot of information that people want their PMs to see. So you have all the line details and all the amounts on the project. So also you have related commitments here. So you can see what the POs that they're against or subcontracts that they're against. And these are very easy to add, but they have to be done through a customization project. So if we go there, we open one up. I'll show you how quickly this is added. You go to your screens, find the screen that you want to add this to, the transaction screen right here. I've got a couple different ones in here. I know that this is my project screen, so I'll go ahead and highlight that. Click the arrow. The actions is where I need to go, actually. So I click into the actions. Give it a second. And now you can see these different actions that I've added. So you can click the plus, add a new one. So we'll say appointments, which I've already got up there. So I guess I got to give it a unique name. Do appointments. I would say side panel. I would find my GI. Typically, you would just search and find your GI that you know is what you want. And then I would add the navigation parameters. So in this case, I have a parameter on the appointment, and I would just pass in the project. We're actually using the CD, so use that. And then I'd hit OK. And that's how I add it. Once I publish it, it will add that side panel for me. To show you what that side panel looks like here on the parameters front, this little column is usually hidden, so it's worth unhiding in the column configurator to add it here. So that way I can hide it so no one can change the project in that side panel. It keeps it relevant to that one. So the next way that you can do this is actually, if I go back to the projects, I can go into the customization here. And I can go to navigation. And I can actually add in a side panel here using a navigational target. So for this, I am grabbing a dashboard screen. So I'll go into the search, throw that in there. Just a unique thing you can do. You could also add this on a transactional screen. Go ahead and make it a side panel. Pick your icon, which is important. So project. And then I'm going to add my project ID here. Which is actually going to be the contract ID. I would save. And that is how simple it is to add a side panel on the project. So you can see it's now over here. We'll see if it loads up. So it's passing across whatever I've highlighted in here for my demo data. And it passes it through again when you change, and you can make it a better user interface as they click through. And that's how you add side panels to a generic inquiry and to a transactional screen.